Ron Gold is on the phone. He is the survivor of a head-on crash that left him paralyzed. He's the founder of Lean On We, which is a network of extensively vetted caregivers available at your fingertips. Lean On We is part of what we're talking about, and of course we want to get to know Ron Gold a little bit. Good morning, Ron. How are you?
Good morning, Larry and Robin. How are you?
We're doing okay. Where are you? Where are you calling from?
I am calling from New Jersey.
When did your accident happen, and did it leave you without the use of your legs, or am I mistaken about that?
You are not mistaken, unfortunately. It happened 3.5 years ago. I was an avid cyclist, bicyclist, and I'd usually go out on a weekend morning for a 40, 50-mile ride.
Wow.
And I was coming back almost home, and it was just one of those sort of cliche things. In a flash, your entire life has changed, and everything that you knew is different. A woman lost control of her car. She fell asleep in an SUV, and she went into me head on.
Oh,
and
goodness.
The last thing I can remember is just keep my head above the hood.
Oh, my God.
Wow. And that's not that long ago. I mean, you must have flashbacks. Am I right?
I do. I think about it most days, really. I guess over time you start to move on, but it never leaves you, of course. You know, I was strong, I was healthy, I had a demanding job, and something like this happens, and then you need to reassess everything.
Wow.
As I said, the last thing I remember was getting hit, and then I was medevac to ICU, and I was put in an induced coma for several weeks. And, the surgeons didn't think I was going to survive. And the first thing I remember coming to was the neurosurgeon coming to tell me that I would never walk again.
Wow. Did you believe him?
No, actually. And he had to come 2 more times to my room before it started to sink in. It changes everything you've always believed and you've known to be true.
So, who is your support? Do you have a wife, a parent, who's there? Who has been there for you the whole time?
Well, my wife has been incredible. I mean, she is clearly my number one support, as well as my 3 daughters. And my wife was in the hospital every day. I was in ICU for almost 2 months, and then rehab for another 3 months before I was discharged.
Wow.
So it was incredible.
Is she? So would you consider her your primary caregiver?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think it would be the healthiest for our relationship if she were. When I was discharged, I had care provided. I had caregivers and nurses provided by insurance, but that doesn't last long, and that's sort of what got me down this whole road for Lean On We, because it only lasted, let's say, 6 weeks, and care never lasts as long as you think. Medicare is not long at all.
Yeah.
And then I was stuck in a situation where I continue to need care. I need care every day. And I have somebody who comes into my home. But after 6 weeks, I was forced with a decision, how am I going to pay for it? Because now it was coming out of pocket.
Yeah, it is tough. And I think I understand, but probably not really, what you mean when you say that it wouldn't be good for your relationship if your wife had to be your caregiver. Suddenly you're not husband and wife, you're a caregiver and care receiver. I don't know any other way to say that.
Yes.
So, and I don't blame you. I would not want that from my wife. I would rather have somebody else taking care of whatever needs I have, so that I can have the relationship as close as possible. Was that your idea?
That was my idea, and that's something that they tell you in rehab too, to try to do that, because it's just a better, healthier relationship.
And because I don't know really anything about your wife, but she might have had a career. You might have had children, and she would have had to spend time raising the children, and that is pretty. That is a necessary part, because that person has to retain their individuality also, instead of being consumed by the personality of the person that the accident had happened to.
You are absolutely correct, and it's a challenge. No matter how much you think about it, no matter how much you are aware of the risks, it stays. You need to think about it every day to try to maintain that relationship and be cognizant of all the trials and challenges that your spouse is also dealing with.
We are going to take a little break in a second. When we come back, I think the listening audience wants to hear more about Lean on We. I certainly want to know from two perspectives. How do we help if we want to be one of the we that you lean on? And how do we get that help if we need it for somebody we love or perhaps for ourselves? So we will take a little break. Ron Gold is on the phone. Lean on We is the caregiving organization that he founded, and we're going to find out more about it when we come back.
The weather is brought to you by myfwc.com. Safe boating is no accident. A mix of sun and clouds today. A thunderstorm in the area this afternoon and this evening. The high today 90 to 94. But partly cloudy overnight with a low of 68 and a few inland spots 74 along the coast. Tomorrow partly sunny with a shower and thunderstorm in the area during the afternoon and evening hours. High 86 at the coast, 93 inland. For Saturday, clouds and sun with an afternoon shower or thunderstorm. High 84 to 88. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Joe Lundberg.
For generation after generation, America's heroes have been fighting for our freedoms. And it's those freedoms that have allowed us here at Mike Scott Plumbing to prosper and grow in this great land of ours. At Mike Scott Plumbing, we help thousands of customers every day with everything from irrigation to repairing the kitchen sink. But if there's one thing that absolutely, positively needs to be maintained, it's your septic system. If you don't maintain your septic system, it could fail completely, leaving you with a big bill and an even bigger mess. So we here at Mike Scott Plumbing would like to help all of those who have helped us. If you have your septic pumped and you're a veteran, we would like to extend to you a special discount. Just mention this ad. Please call our office to schedule your appointment today, 866-314-4443. And from all of us here at Mike Scott Plumbing, thank you for your service.
Hi, this is JP from Penn Flooring here in Ocala. I would like to invite you to come in and visit our spacious showroom where we have solutions for every style and budget. From wall-to-wall carpet to hardwood floors and tiles, we have an unsurpassed selection of flooring. At Penn Flooring, we've provided quality customer service with a family touch for over 25 years. Visit our website at pennflooring.com or come by our showroom, 1201 Southwest 17th Street, just over the bridge. Penn Flooring, quality customer service with a family touch.
All right, 13 minutes before 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. On the phone is Ron Gold. Did I ask Ron where he's calling from, Robin?
Yes, you did.
Where is he?
Yep. He's in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay. Yeah. Ron is the survivor of a head-on crash, and now we know that he was on a bicycle, and an SUV hit him head-on, and it left him paralyzed, and he has founded something in the meantime called Lean on We. This happened in 2011. So this is still very, very new for him. My goodness. I went to leanonwe.com and I did see a little bit about what they do. And there's some featured caregivers on there and gives you an idea of what those folks charge. And it seems like such an amazingly affordable figure. Ron, where are you in New Jersey?
I am in northern New Jersey in Bergen County.
Okay.
Near the New York State border.
Okay. Robin's son lives in New Jersey, not too far from this New York City.
Yeah.
Bloomfield?
It's not too far from Bloomfield,
okay.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. Actually, I grew up in a couple towns away from there.
Oh, is that right?
Let me tell you just a little bit how I got to start Lean on We. As I was saying before, we insurance ran out, and then I was stuck with the decision how I was going to continue to hire a caregiver. And I came to the conclusion that it would really be best for me to hire care privately as opposed to going through an agency. The agency was $25 an hour, which is more than I wanted to spend, particularly now that it was coming out of pocket. And there are certain regulations or restrictions that you need to deal with an agency. So, for example, an agency usually has a requirement of 4-hour minimum. And I was in a situation where I really only needed somebody to come in the morning and sort of help me get going for the day, and that was only 2 hours. And what was the person going to do for the rest of the time? So I figured that if I could do something privately, I could find somebody who was less expensive, and I could control the care the way I wanted to, and I could choose the person who came into my home, because that's another problem with licensed agencies. Usually, you have no idea who's coming into your home until that person actually does. The problem with hiring privately, and maybe you know this, is that what most people do is they get the recommendation of a neighbor's friend or a neighbor's uncle or a cousin, and it's really sort of 2 degrees removed, and you don't know if that person is really appropriate for you. You don't know if they have a criminal record. You don't know if they have backup available, and you almost certainly can't do it legally. So I figured, okay, why don't we take the advantages of both systems? If I can come up with a way in the 21st century to create a network of caregivers, so these would be people that me or my team had met and personally vetted, ensuring that they have experience, references, fingerprint checks, insurance, a bio that we help them create online, and then a video. So all of a sudden, it's taking the mystery out of that person who is coming to care for you or your parent or whoever. And it changes the whole dynamic of going about doing it.
So if it was $25 an hour, these folks that I'm looking at right here are about average or below average, it looks like, is what they're asking for. So who decides how much they charge? They do it themselves?
Yes, they do it themselves. That's a good question, and it highlights. So actually, with that $25 an hour, the caregiver is not making anywhere near that. They're probably making about half of that.
Right. Okay.
So that's another big problem. So you're not really, the caregiver is not incentivized to do the kind of work that you want because they're not really keeping very much of it. In many cases, a babysitter will make more money. So it is a big challenge because it's hard for them to make a living that way. So we figured if we could cut out the middleman and just create this forum of caregivers, and then the two sides could come together.
Wow.
The caregivers would set their own rates. They work for themselves, or actually they work directly for the family, but they set their own rate, and I'm not determining that. I'm just creating a place for the two sides to come together.
That's a really great idea. And Rob and I use something similar. Rob and I are, when we're not doing radio, we are musicians. And we get gigs through, we don't have an agency in the typical sense like I did 20 years ago, where we had to pay a percentage of what we earned. We just pay for this annual fee, which is like $15, I think, for this online site, and then people hire us. We just charge whatever we think we want to charge. So is it the same way?
It is the same way. Maybe one difference is that the caregivers cannot just upload their bio and their information on themselves. We have a vetting process, so they have to go through us. And we ensure that these people are of the standard that we require.
I got
But
you.
once we do that, it works very similarly. Once they're up and vetted and they're on our gallery, the two sides can come together and they make their own deal and their own arrangements, and it's a private arrangement, and we're out.
When you had to do this for yourself, and people had to be interviewed when you came up with this idea, were your children part of the interview process also to see if they would find the person a good fit?
No, they weren't, but they did get excited about the idea of starting this organization, and they did help. But in my immediate decision, they were not.
I know. I
should also say that we also one of the main reasons people go to an agency, other than sort of inertia, they start with an agency and they continue with it, is the peace of mind that they'll have backup care when needed. Because, inevitably something's going to happen. Your caregiver is going to need time off. They're going to need personal plans. They're going to get sick. They need vacation.
Right.
And what we do is we provide access to our network so that you can get backup care as well. So in that way, that peace of mind that you have with an agency, but you don't have necessarily with a word of mouth, we address.
That is amazing. I love this idea. I real quick, I want to tell you that Robin and I worked for 3 years with an assisted living facility in our community, and so in those 3 years away from radio and showbiz in general, we got to see the real world, and we and we got to see caregivers that were just unbelievable, whether they were related to the folks or not, and some of those who were not related to them made wages that would make you sick. And I thought they were nurses, and it turns out they're not nurses. They are resident care aides, and the wages are so bad. And I thought, gosh, is there some way for these people to make more money? So this sounds like an answer to that. One of those people, some of those. So do you have anybody in our area, and do you need anybody in our area, and how do they apply if you do?
Okay, and you are exactly right. This is a solution to that problem. I mean, they can make 50% more money by cutting out the middleman, and it's a huge issue, because we all know what's going on in the future. The baby boomers are aging, they're living longer, they want to live at home, and they need more care, and that's only going to continue over the next 20, 30 plus years. So we know that there's a demand for these services, but what about the supply? I mean, how are we going to incentivize people to go into this line of work if they can't make a living at it?
Wow.
And this is a solution to that problem. You're exactly right. So we are in certain pockets of Florida right now. We are not yet in Ocala. We hope to be. We think that this model has a lot of legs, and it will resonate with people everywhere, and we're looking forward to expanding it. We're certainly interested in any recommendations on good aides, because we want to make sure that they're in a good situation and that they can get paid and they can provide the care that we need.
And you also stress that when a person has good caregivers, that you as the child, if your parent is aging, can spend leisure time with them and do some of the fun things and not have to worry about the care that needs to be given every day.
And that's really crucial, because so many things are changing when a parent gets older and they're losing their independence. And so, for example, one thing is if they can be engaged in the process of choosing their caregiver, like if their adult child helps them go online and look at these caregivers, they're much more invested in that caregiver, and it works out much better. And it's important that the adult children have time to spend with their parents without worrying about care, because they may not be very well suited for it. And it also, like I said with my wife and I, it changes the dynamics of the relationship, because you can't worry about that friendship and the caring. You're worrying about the sort of mundane tasks. So I think it's very important. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I just taking a breath. I love what you're saying. I love this message. I know that we have a community, A, that needs caregivers, and B, that has caregivers that could do better off and we also have a segment of our population that is probably great to be as caregivers, but they can't do it full time. So that's kind of my question. Can somebody sign up for this and say, look, I'm available on Mondays? Is that possible?
It is possible, and we hope as we grow to become more and more along those lines. I mean, they have their availability, and they may be available, let's say, a couple days a week. They may have another job. They may have other responsibilities. I don't assign them a job. They come together, and if it works for both sides, then you have a match. If not, it doesn't. They're not obligated to do whatever doesn't fit or doesn't suit for them.
We've got 1 minute. I just want to tell you, this is a great idea. You have given the whole country something wonderful. Well, good luck with this. For our listeners who are interested in this, either to be a caregiver or to find a caregiver, what's the best thing? Is there? I know that on the website there's an 844 number. It's a toll-free number, right?
Right. You can call that number. You can go online. Either one of them is fine. And really, in a nutshell, the idea is that it brings the power back to the person looking for care. This way, they have the advantage of paying less,
right,
choosing who comes into their home, and having control over the care, where the caregiver is making more money.
Okay.
And it's a really better situation for everyone. Everybody
listening does not have a computer. I assume they do, but I know they don't. So here's the toll-free number. It's 1-844-532-6669. And if you do have a way to get online, go to leanonwe.com. Ron Gold, congratulations on coming up with a very, very life-changing idea. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, Larry and Robin.
We'll be right back.